Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to One World Sports Radio and the third and final test of this tour between Australia and South Africa. You join us just before tea, I would imagine. There's some extended sessions because of the time lost yesterday. The 117th over has just been bowled by South Africa. Australia are 390 for three. Kawaja 168 off 329, and Travis Head on 17 off 25. The run rate 3.3. South Africa are toiling in the field. The bowlers are already past the first new ball, and Australia just make it look so easy to play Test cricket. I'm going to be joined soon by a few of my colleagues, and we decided to just go for this post-tea session. We had some availability issues with our team, so thank you very much for sticking with us and joining us right now. Kawaja is on strike now to Simon Harmer, who's bowling the 118th over right arm round the wicket, turning it away from the left-hander. Nice loopy delivery on off stump, defended back to the bowler for no run. And Simon Harmer is bowling his 25th over, and he's conceded 69 runs so far. Again to Kawaja, swept nicely, just in front of square on the leg side, and it's a 4 to Australia. 392 for three. So the question now is, can South Africa bat as nicely as these gentlemen have been doing? What a glorious sweep shot there by Usman Khawaja, just showing why he was such a prolific run scorer in last year's season. Ended up, I think, scoring second highest, if memory serves me. And he's just carrying on from there in 2023 at the moment. So much so that they've only got one slip in for Harmer to Kawaja, who defends this one into the offside for no run. He's on 172 now of 332 deliveries. Harmer in again, right arm round. Off the back foot drive by Kawaja to point, no run. So the last wicket to fall was Steve Smith, caught and bowled by Maharaj for 104 off 192. He scored 11 fours and 2 sixes. At a strike rate of 54.16, and that was with the score on 356. This time Khawaja plays it to backward point, where it's fielded by Gully and it's no run. And then, of course, yesterday we had the wickets of Warner and Labuschagne. This one is attacking the stumps from Harmer and defended by Khawaja, no run. 394 for three after 118 overs. So let's go through the bowling figures for you quickly, just to bring you up to speed. As the players leave the field for the tea break, we were planning to do the post-tea session, but I think the extended sessions just caught us out a little bit. But here are the bowling figures. Kagiso Rabada, 24 overs, 3 maidens, no wickets for 94, economy of 3.91. Anrich Nortje, 20 overs, 5 maidens, 55 runs, 2 wickets, economy of 2.5. Marco Jansen, 22 overs, 4 wickets, 59 runs without a wicket, 2.68 economy. And of course he should have had the wicket of Marnus Labuschagne yesterday, with the catch being judged to be dropped, or the ball to have dropped short, and which was later agreed upon by everybody that it was not the case. Nevertheless, he's got no wickets yet. Keshav Maharaj, 25 overs, 1 wicket for 108 runs, 1 maiden, for 108 runs and 1 wicket, 4.32 economy rate. Simon Harmer, 25 overs, 2 maidens, 73 runs and no wicket yet, 2.92. So, strictly speaking, it should be Harmer and Jansen bowling all the time. And then just looking at the Australian batting scorecard, apparently that was Stephen Smith's 30th Test 100. And we also had a chance of a catch from Travis Head off the bowling of Harmer that dropped a little bit short, but that was clearly short. So Usman Khawaja is there, not out, 172 off 335 balls, 17 fours and 1 6 at a strike rate of 51.34. And with him there, Travis Head, 17 off 25, hitting 2 fours with a strike rate of 68. And we're just going to go silent for the tea break, and we'll be back as soon as the cricket resumes. Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And that is the end of the tea break in Sydney. It's a very overcast day in Sydney at the moment, but we haven't had any interruptions yet so far today, as far as I know. We hope that continues. And the news from Sydney is that it is now raining over there. And so we will queue up a podcast for you to listen to, and we'll just wait for the rain to go away so that we can have some play again. So we do apologize for that on behalf of the weather in Sydney, although there's not much that we can do about that. So thank you very much for sticking with us. We do appreciate it. And we'll be back as soon as there's some cricket.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho Mukrani. I've got Tim Dale Lace here. This is our podcast. We talk all things South African cricket. Remember, you can follow us at One World Sports Radio's YouTube channel. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on all the platforms that you know. We also have a podcast, an audio podcast that's on Anchor and also Spotify and Apple Podcast. So please follow us there. Also, go to our Patreon account. Put some money in there to keep the lights going. You know, that's what we do. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, just about recovered from the auction and the ramifications of that, of which there were many. But otherwise, yeah, all good. We're ready to go.
Yeah. So today, knowing that we're going to do the podcast, and we're going to talk about this, the SA20. So 102 players in this tournament, 60 South African players were selected on Monday. It was beautiful. It was amazing. There were some surprises. There were some shocks. There were some interesting things that were happening on that day. The one big surprise went longer than people expected. And I remember, Tim, I said we should have recorded our little podcast at 7. We would have been recording at 10 p.m. if all things worked out. So we decided to move it to Thursday, and now we're here. And so today, driving to work, thinking in my car, what I'm going to say. I had multiple things to say. I had multiple rants in my head. And then I listened to Timber's to Mark's press conference. They're going to India, and Timber's press conference. Yeah. One thing I want to say, kudos to Mark Boucher. I don't give him a lot of credit most of the time on the podcast, but credit to him for saying that he backs Timber and the guys in the team back Timber to the hills. He also said something very interesting. He said that they went to Robben Island yesterday. And for me, that, in the context of this auction, what happened on Robben Island, why it was there, the historical significance of what was happening on Robben Island, cannot be devoid in South African cricket, in any facets of South African lifestyle, until the cows. It can be the year 3000. Not much has changed, but we live underwater. Even if we lived underwater. I'm trying to quote a song, but anyway. Even if we lived underwater, the historical significance of what this country's been, of what has gone on, and how the ramifications of that and how it affects life today still needs to be considered. And to a certain extent, many people will say, yeah, no, the merit argument, everyone's won, merit this, merit that. It's great because now we get to see that the quota system, the transformation never worked. That these black guys are imposters. They don't deserve to be there. Because all I saw on Monday was, yes, international players not getting bought, that's fine. But all I saw was black Africans being left aside, put aside, like that time when those people were on Robben Island. And you can say that, yes, no, they're not being racist, and they're not. It's an unintended consequence. But we can't just say, oh, well, it is what it is. We need to go back and figure out what is the cause of those unintended consequences. Because, and everyone's talking about Timber and Andile. There's many other guys who deserve the spot there, who are better than the guys inside. Luto Sepamla for one, a national prospect. A guy who's been in the national team for 3 years, doing those things. He didn't get a call-up, you know. Sibonela Makanya, who this past year was a revelation at the time. Revelation. Lesiba Mwepe, boy from Fort Lawrence, where I come from. He didn't even get a gig, and he's been amazing. Yes, Akamane got a call-up. Yes, Malusi Siboto got a call-up, well deservedly so for both of them. Sisanda Magala got the biggest payday, and I was worried for him because of all the perceptions and all the rumors. And you can see that, yes, maybe there were certain things that happened that necessarily didn't get these guys in. But in a society that's always been historically leaning towards the white side, and in the game like cricket that's always been predominantly white, my answer has always been there needs to be an intervention. And if that auction didn't tell you the reason why we have these targets, then we've got a long way to go in changing society. Because for me, now, next season when this auction happens, the guys I've just named will be told, and even Timber himself, no, Timber doesn't play the international tournaments. Timber didn't play in the SAT20. Well, he couldn't. He wasn't picked. And then they'll say, no, Andile didn't play there. Lesiba didn't play there. So they won't get picked even more. And then you have this gap where the black guys will play domestic cricket, and that's like a championship. And where the money's at, the white guys will be playing. And then you get that chasm. And then in the national T20 side, when the black guys come in, they'll be called quotas because they're not playing in the South Africa's Premier League. And that, for me, is the one thing about this league that bothers me a lot, is that we're just happy to accept the money, but the consequences of it could be detrimental to the growth of the game. Because how do you grow the game of cricket? It's already saturated in the white markets. You need to grow it in the black market. How do you grow it in the black markets? I'm not asking for favors. I'm asking for fairness. Because there was a lot of people there on that list, and I'm going to show you the list, on that list, who quite deservedly don't deserve the money that they got. But it's a bidding war, that's okay. And also probably there are better players there who could have made it in. And I sit there going, yes, it's an unintended consequence. I'm not calling it a subconscious bias. But we need to go back and figure out where that came from. Because this is something has possibly could kill our cricket. Well, could kill cricket in the black areas. Because why are we now asking for black cricketers to come into the system? But when cricket has its biggest payday, South African cricket has its biggest payday, you're like, no, it's fine. Go play domestic. Go earn 50,000 Rand a month. That's fine. Meanwhile, guys are becoming millionaires on CVs of doing nothing. Of doing just nothing. There's a video floating around on Twitter of Miguel Pretorius getting smacked for 5 sixes in an over. Miguel Pretorius last year domestically. And I'm not picking on Miguel, I'm just saying. Ethan Bosch played Division 2. Well done. Evan Riss was a sensation last year. He's bought for the Lions. I love him. Happy for him.
Evan Jones.
Evan Ross plays with the Springboks.
Blackburn.
Yes. Yes. You know, and I'm not picking on guys. Björn Mulder, as a T20 player, he didn't get selected in the first round. That's fine. He was brought back. But these are the questions that we need to ask. These are the questions we need to answer. Because you're saying this is for the betterment of cricket. Is this just a payday to get your friends paid? And Graham and his people paid? Because What legacy is this going to leave? And they're like, no, the franchise are going to ingratiate themselves in the communities and everything else. And I've said this, Tim, you've heard me say this before. Transformation is not only grassroots. If you focus on grassroots, that's a fundamental problem because there are guys in the system like now. Now you're going to be telling us in a year's time when we go to the T20 World Cup, and because we're South Africa, we have transformation targets. The black players will underperform, and then they'll say, no, but we need transformation needs to start there, transformation needs to do this. Yet you failed in the opportunity to give someone something to better themselves. They failed in doing that. So how does this league help the national team? How does this league help grow South African cricket? Where do we go from here? Because right now, all I see is black players who are going to be playing domestic cricket, be the backbone of domestic cricket, not getting selected. And it's not just black African players. I just picked that because that's what it is, but players of color. Players of color. And so that's where I'm sitting here with this league, is that as a preamble, is that if you think Temba's a T20 scrub, you don't watch cricket. If you think Andila's a T20 scrub, you don't watch cricket. The fundamental thing that people need to take out of their heads is that this is a domestic tournament. It's not an international tournament. It's a domestic tournament with overseas players. It's a domestic tournament. You cannot tell me that Temba is not one of the 12.
Hello, and we are back. The rain has stopped. Marco Jansen is bowling to Travis Head, and this one goes down the leg side, and there's no run. Half-hearted appeal there from Kyle Verreynne, but that was not a catch chance. It was close to the bat and not much else. So we've had some rain delays, but it just about straddled the tea break. We lost about 13 minutes. So that's great news. Thank you so much for sticking with us here. And the South Africans are floundering, trying to figure out how they're going to get these Australian wickets. And I would venture to guess that the pressure is already building on the South African top order with this Australian batting display, Australian batting masterclass, in fact. Now the pressure will be on for them to replicate this as Marco Jansen comes in over the wicket to Travis Head. He strikes him on the pads, but that's going down leg side. It struck him inside of the outside, right in front of the leg stump, but with the left arm over the wicket to the right, to the left-handed batter, that definitely would have gone down leg side. So thank you very much for sticking with us, for joining us. And we have some cricket to talk about, so that's always great. Travis Head is there on 17 of 27. The score is 394 for 3. Kawaja's 2 runs short of his test best score on 172. This one is driven by Travis Head, beats extra cover, wide mid off, and the ball is just going to stop in the outfield as the captain Dean Algar runs down from mid off, down to the deep extra cover boundary to go and fetch that. And that is the third delivery of the 119th over that South Africa have been made to bowl here, with Australia winning the toss, choosing to bat, and they did exactly that. They just batted and batted and batted some more. So well done to them. Mpendulo joins me now. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Otto. Morning to all the listeners. How are you doing, my good sir?
Very well, very well. And Kawaja clips this one off his pads and down to square leg for a single. He moves on to 173. The score 398 for 3. And 1 run to go for Usman Khawaja to beat his test best score. He hasn't scored a double ton yet, so he'll want to maybe move on to that. Hopefully South Africa can get his wicket before he does that. A few chances that have been presented by Usman Khawaja. We saw in the highlights package just now that half a chance to, a drop not a drop catch, but a chance to Andrich Nortje that wasn't taken. This one is short. Travis Head pulls this one down to deep mid-wicket, and they take another single. He goes on to 21. Yes, 21 of 29, Travis Head now. 399 for 3, the score. So that one surprised Travis Head a little bit. It was down into the ground, and catching mid-wicket almost managed to stop that. The run rate 3.36. So would you like to have a go at some ball by ball? As Jansen gets this one onto the leg stump of Usman Khawaja, and he cannot go to his 174, his test best yet. There's no run. And the current partnership already 43 runs. And that's what's so nice when you have a solid stand and a solid opening top order score. When the middle order comes in, they can just play their normal game, and there's zero pressure on them.
%100%, and it's something that we've seen Australia do for the entire series, whereby that number 3, number 4, number 5 pairing, or even number 3 with Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, and with Travis Head, they always anchor that inning for the Australians.
Yes, makes it so much more easier for the rest of the team. Simon Harmer with the second over after tee, right arm around the wicket to Travis Head with the slip and a silly point in, and Head plays this down to long on for a single. Easily done there for Travis Head. And do that. 400 is up for Australia. Khawaja is on strike. Simon Harmer, right arm over the wicket, outside edge, but Khawaja doesn't get that to the fielder's hand, and there's no run there. Partnership now 44. Harmer in again, right arm round. Khawaja works this off his off stump and down to backwards square leg, and he gets a single. He's matched his best score, and that was against New Zealand at the Gabba in 2015-16. So definitely they had a different groundsman at the Gabba back then, I would venture to guess. Harmer to Head, and wide and short outside off stump, and bumped into the cover boundary by Travis Head. Good shot there, bad delivery, and dispatched by Travis Head. 405 for 3 is the score. 2 balls to go in the 120th over.
Travis Head has been a bully the entire series. His strike rates has always been stupendous. If you're looking at how he's going today, it's around at 82.
Harmer in again, outside edge this time, as Head just tries to push this into the third man region, and there's no run. It's just such positive batting from him at the moment. He steps down the wicket, he launches this one over mid-off, and one bounce 4. That is a clear signal to South Africa and Dean Elgar. I'm not going to let you settle in here. We are going to get as many runs as we can, literally while the sun is shining in Sydney, with all the rain delays and bad light problems we had yesterday. I wonder if they've adjusted their bad lightometer in the umpire's decision-making process, because it was a bit ridiculous yesterday. So we see it at angles here. Travis Head moving into and out of his crease, back and forth, and making his feet work for him, and not allowing the bowlers to get a good look at a length that they can settle into. So very nicely done there by Travis Head. And he goes on to 30 of 33. Jansen will continue. to Kawaja on 174. The partnership now 53 of 66 balls. 120 overs gone, 409 for 3.
The biggest worry here for South Africa is that Head was actually hitting their most threatening spinner.
Yep. And this one is down the leg side. Kawaja, did he get some bat on that? It goes down to the boundary for 4. It's 413 now for 3. And yes, Kawaja did get something on that. Verreynne couldn't reach to catch it. 178 for Kawaja off 340. Came off his gloves and just over the fingertips of Kyle Verreynne.
Oh,
so
he was
close.
squeezed there, Guzman Kawaja. Absolutely squeezed. If only Kyle Verreynne was as tall as Marco Jansen.
Oh, yes. There we go. That would have been nice. Jansen in again on leg stump, flick down, leg side. There's no contact with the bat this time, but no run either. Verreynne does reach this one. So just went past the leg side edge there. Heavy leg side field here for Marco Jansen. He's got a backward square leg on the boundary, fine leg on the boundary, catching mid-wicket and a wideish mid-on as well. So he's going to attack that leg and middle stump line with one slip in as well. He goes to the off stump and defended by Kawaja, no run.
Guzman Kawaja has been very well in his foot movement. He's using that back foot a lot, trying to negate anything where he moves forward and he's too early on the shot, or if he moves and then he gets the edge, because this pitch is dry, the pitch is then slow, so he can wait on the ball just for a little bit, which is why it seems a little bit easier for him.
Indeed. Flicks this one off his toes, and it's going to be picked up on the leg side boundary. Jansen has protection there, as I mentioned, and they take a single. And 414 for 3.
And this is what good batting does here, Otto. It forces Marco Jansen to do something different than what he's doing, and almost giving away a boundary there due to the very massive patience that Kawaja is exhibiting. Probably seeing it like a balloon now.
Yeah, I'm afraid South Africa is staring down the barrel of another declaration here. Travis Head with a booming drive straight to mid-off, no run. This one was just outside off stump. He's also seeing the ball quite nicely. That one looked like it came off the middle of the bat there.
And if there's one person you should be afraid of, it's this guy. To be very honest, in that whole batting order, the other guys are proper in playing their game. Travis Head comes in to just hurt you when you're already hurt, already on 30, on 34.
Yes, he's the one who sits on your chest while the other ones beat you up. And he slaps this one down to the deep mid-wicket boundary. Is Nortje able to stop that 4? He throws the ball back. They're going to have a look. I think he went into the ropes as he pushed the ball back. Though I'm not sure that he managed to stop that 4. Let's see on the replay. I think they're going to give that a 4. His foot is touching the boundary sponges as he slides to flick that back. It's 4. To Kawaja, and that means that the score is 418 for 3. Kawaja on 179 of 343 balls. Travis Head 34 of 35, and it's 9 runs off that Marco Jansen over, the 121st over. Harmer is ready to bowl the 122nd.
Harmer will be much more happier bowling to Kawaja than he'd be bowling to Travis Head at this moment in time.
Jeez, I'm telling you, it's just 6 and half a dozen as Kawaja sweeps this one from his middle and off stump line into the boundary ropes on the leg side. Easy as you like. 183 off 344 now for Kawaja. 422 for 3. Where will Australia declare, do you think, Mpendulo?
Definitely looking at that Usman Khawaja 200. He's played so well, he definitely deserves it. And if it does so happen that Khawaja reaches 200 and Travis Head is above 50, maybe at a positive score, that
Appeal for LBW here by Simon Harmer, but the ball pitched on middle and leg around there and hit Kawaja's front foot and on about a leg stump line. So I don't think that's a good review. I think it's going down leg with the right arm around the wicket to the left-hander. No review taken. Harmer in again to Kawaja. He goes back onto his off stump and defends this one. No run.
And there's not much turn in the pitch as people would think. So that ball was definitely
that one straightened a bit. Having a look at the replay now, it was another attempted sweep shot. This time Kawaja off the back foot plays it to point for a single. On the replay, it did straighten nicely, but I don't think that was quite enough for the LBW. Let's see the replay.
Couldn't have been enough.
It would have been over the wickets, hitting the top of leg stump. So it would have been umpire's call on the wickets hitting.
Crazy. I thought that the line would be off, but it's actually the bounce that Harmer gets because he's a huge figure, this guy. I was actually shocked that he's so tall.
Yeah, he's not the world's smallest man. Silly point, slip in, Harmer to Head, and there's no run. Head just defends this into the cover region. Ball is already back in Harmer's hands. 423 for 3. One ball to go in the 122nd over. Travis Head goes back onto his leg stump, pumps this one down to long on for a single. End of the 120 seconds over. 424 for 3. So I think that, maybe Australia looking at the Kawaja double ton, a 54 head, and by then they should be close to 500 if they want to have a bowl at South Africa before the end of the day. That might be good. Or do you think they'll just try? Because I mean, if they bat too long, if they go and bat into tomorrow, they might not have enough time to bowl South Africa out twice, and it might, with all the rain around, might give South Africa a chance to go for the draw. What do you think? Where should they declare? Should they declare?
Definitely, by the end of the day, the declaration should come. And if you look at the scoring trend right now, also the last 3 overs, one went for 10 runs, the previous one went for 9, and this one from Harmer going for 6. That's already 25 runs in 3 overs. So already there seems to be a change in mindset in what the Australians are doing, looking to get those runs quickly so that Usman gets his 200, Head gets his 50, and boom, they are in. Conditions will be favoring the bowling at the end of the day. South Africans will be tired. The Australian bowling attack will be fresh. So all the signs are heading to Australia here.
Indeed, as Head faces Janssen, and it's shortish outside off stump and slapped down to the deep extra cover boundary. And there is a good stop there to get the ball back and stop the 4. I think that might have been 1 run saved there. And yes, indeed, you can see the stats backing that up. Mpendulo last 10 overs, 53 without loss. So that's definitely Australia laying down the marker here and saying to South Africa, you better stop us, otherwise you'll be out of this match before you know it.
And to think, also that they still have Renshaw waiting, Carey, who's a smash off the ball, Ashton Agar. They have Cummins as well, who can hit one.
Janssen round the wicket to the left-handed Kawaja. He tries to ramp this one over the wicket keeper, but it goes to Verreynne for no run. Yes, they've got they're holding all the cards at the moment, as they say, Australia. Doesn't look like South Africa have managed to figure out how to get these guys out. So that's very worrying. As Janssen around the wicket again to Kawaja. He steps outside his leg stump. Janssen follows him. He manages to just dab this out to mid-on for a single. So South Africa need to stop the flow of runs here somehow. None of their bowlers have really been economical except Janssen and Harmer, and Janssen and Harmer are now being taken apart. So nowhere for Algot to go.
You can see with what Janssen is trying to do, coming around the wicket to the left-hander, looking to tighten those lines like that previous ball.
Yeah, he's bowling what I would say is quite a negative line. This one also outside leg stump. Travis Head just gets something on it, but the leg gully goes off his hip to leg gully. No run. Yeah, this is like we've given up on life line. We just don't want you to score so easily. 38 now for Travis Head off 39. Janssen round the wicket to him. He steps way outside his leg stump. He tries to hoik this one down to deep mid wicket, but he gets a leading edge down to long on, but there's nobody there. And they take 2 runs. Travis Head into the 40s. So it's a bit of a toe end of the bat there.
And in my belief, Otto, it might not be just negative bowling. There's a plan, just a change of plan, and a plan that we're not used to. Because like you said in the previous over for Janssen, that leg side is packed. All those fielders are packed there. That extra bounce that Janssen gets.
Yeah, trying to get a wicket here somehow. No, so just a correction. That previous shot from Travis Head, the ball was high up on the bat, so that's why he didn't get hold of it. That last one just defended off his hips for no run. So 430 for 3 after 123 overs.
And with that being said there, Otto, with the pitch also holding up because it's slow in pace and all of those things, that's why it might be easier to miss time with the Australians wanting to go big as well and score big. It's easier to mistime the ball if the pitch holds the ball up just for a little bit. And if you're leg-sided and you have those 4 fielders, you can set traps in order to get those wickets. So not the most ideal test way to get a wicket, but it's a way to get a wicket nonetheless. And that's what South Africa needs.
Yep. I hope you're right about that they are trying something new, or they've come up with some kind of plan.
Definitely trying it out. 100%. But it would have been nice to bring Hendrik Nokia.
It will be nice to see that they actually do get a wicket with this tactics. Harmer to Kawaja, no run as Harmer fields to the offside of the wicket. Yeah, I hope you're right. Only one slip in now for Kawaja. Defends this one on middle and off. No run.
That's why I say on the other side, I would have brought Hendrik Nokia. Just bring in the pace and bring in creativity, because they can do something with the ball, these guys.
Loopy delivery on off stump. That turns away, but Kawaja covers the line and there's no run. Yeah, I mean, this little stint here after tea, Australia going at Harmer and Janssen and getting some success. This time it's a cut shot by Kawaja, straight to backward point. There's no run. So Harmer managing to get the dots together here at the moment, which is good to see. He's bowling his 28th over is Simon Harmer. Right arm round now to Kawaja. Drives this one straight to cover. Shortish extra cover for no run. Dean Algot diving to his right and stopping that. So this is nice to see. A string of dot balls. We love it. That's what we want. Harmer in again to Kawaja. Outside off stump. Driven off the back foot to point. No run. And that's a maiden over by Simon Harmer. Right. Very nicely done there.
much more comfortable bowling to Kawaja, being traditional in his lines and in his lengths. The moment he drifts onto the pads, Kawaja dispatches him. The moment he goes too wide, Kawaja dispatches him. So the margin of error for the South African bowlers bowling to someone who's striking at 100 and someone who's been there for over 350 balls is literally zero. Otherwise, they are going to get fetched onto the boundary.
Yes. So the camera's focusing on the umpire. I would guess that's because they want to see where this where he's keeping his light meter. Maybe somebody should just clean the sensor on the light meter there. Maybe that's what happened overnight.
They need to shine a torch on the light meter.
Yes. I think that thing needs to be recalibrated. And now Rabada into the attack. The most expensive South African bowler. He's got 24 overs for 94. The most expensive in this innings, I should say. He is a world-class athlete and a wicket taker, usually. And so, he will be bowling around the wicket to Travis Head, who gets this one on off stump. Very nice line there by Kagiso, hitting the stumps. Travis Head has to just defend that off the back foot to Algar. No run.
I like this, going to try and get a wicket using your main strike bowler. Sure, he hasn't struck today, like you said, Otto, but there's one man who can create magic.
Yeah, another nice line on off stump, inside edge, almost played it on the Travis Head, and it will be picked up at at fine leg for no run. Head moves on. Oh, sorry, for two. 42 or 43 now for Travis Head. So lucky 2 runs there. Nowhere near the stumps, but that fainter edge could have meant the end of Travis Head there. Ball coming in, angling into the left-hander, trying to take away the space there. And lucky 2 runs there for Travis Head as Rabada comes in again, pulled outside off stump. And it will be collected on the leg side boundary for a single, I think. Did they go for 2? No, it's just a single.
See, there's that short ball, narrowly missing the short mid wicket. Imagine if that was in the air. That's a chance created. So the lengths that they are trying to go for here, the South Africans, very important in executing their plans. And the lines from Rabada are nothing short of excellent in the first 3 balls that he's come through here. Yes, it's gone for 3 runs, but it's been good 3 runs.
Rabada in again now to Kawaja. And a nice off-stump line there that goes to the point region for a single. 434 for 3. Kawaja on 186. Travis Head is there on 43 or 44. 2 balls to go in the 125th over.
Reason why I've been afraid of Travis Head. This summer, averaging 99 runs in the 5 matches that he's played. Pretty crazy.
Rabada full on middle and off and driven nicely. Nice looking on drive there from Travis Head. Marco Jansen will fetch that and bring it back into the field of play, and they should take at least 2. They have taken 3 for 37 for 3. Very nice shot there.
That was a beautiful looking shot. Definitely would have counted that as a boundary. Luckily enough, those long strides of Marco Jansen able to cover, but beautiful shots. Able to get onto the line and the length of the ball. Didn't even use too much power, just a small little punch, nearly getting him a boundary.
Rabada into Kawaja. Dab down onto the wicket, no run. So that's a 6-run over for Kagiso Rabada. He's got his 101 off 25 overs. But has to be said, some luck there going Australia's way once again.
100%. And we actually have some comments here, Otto, from people who are watching on YouTube. We have
Oops,
Sean.
sorry about that.
Don't even worry. Listen, the match matters more. Fans, we love you, but the match matters more. Sean B, we see you. He's saying that might not have time to bowl SA out is very hopeful. So he's saying that we need around 140 overs in order for South Africa to be dismissed. RP Patak is crying that South Africa is not playing in their full strength this game. How can they not? They need to make it to the World Test Championship. Tell us more. How are they not playing in their full strength? We want to hear you. And Jagannath Adishesha is saying that I really don't think Proteas can match current score after batting twice. So they've already scored 437. South Africa are they're finding it hard to score over 200. So they already scored double than the average South African score.
Harmer now into Travis Head, who dances around, a bit indecisive there, but there's no run. He was looking to come forward and then stopped and doubled back. And no run there. Harmer in again, round the wicket to the left-hander. There's an edge as the cut shot is played, but there's nobody there at sort of a third slip gully maybe. And they take a single. No, it's going to be 4 runs, I think, down to the boundary. We'll just check for you. Yes, 4. And that's Travis Head's 50. Partnership is 85. And so that is 441 for 3. So let's get you the stats there for Travis Head. Playing in his 34th match. His highest score is 175. And this is his 12th Test 50. And he's got 500s to go with that. 50 or 47 balls with 6 fours at a strike rate of 106.3. The last 10 overs for Australia, 59 without loss.
See, here, Otto, we are speaking about someone who understands what he needs to do in the middle of the order. When Travis Head comes in, you know it's devastation.
Harmer into Head, another smash to the long on region, but I think Harmer might have gotten a hand to that, diving to his left, and there's just a single. So now Kawaja needs to get to his 200 so that Australia can declare. As Jagannath Adishesha also says that he feels sorry for KG, thinks he needs a rest. He's been playing continuously. Need separate team for all 3 formats with different coaches and captains. Oh, that would be nice if we had the money to do that. Jagannath, we would definitely do that. As Cricket South Africa would tell you, no doubt. Kawaja facing up to Harmer. 5 runs already off the first 3 deliveries. Harmer into him now on off stump, just outside, back foot to backward point. Cut shot there, no run, single taken, sorry. And Kawaja is on the unlucky Australian 187, 13 short of his 200. 443 for 3 is the score. 2 balls to go, the 126th over. Partnership now, 87 off 100 as well. Head will face Harmer, right arm round the wicket. He dances down the wicket, plays it straight to a short mid-on, and there's no run. So that short mid-on is standing about 3 meters from the non-strikers. Well, he's standing just about on the non-strikers crease. That short mid-on who takes this delivery as well, and there's no run. 126 overs gone, 443 for 3.
Dare I say that Usman Khawaja might reach his 200 when Travis Head is close enough to reach his 100. I see Usman getting that 200 while Travis Head is on 70 something. And given how quickly Travis Head is batting, the Australians might give him a chance to actually get his 100, just like they did with Alex Carey in the previous match at the MCG.
Yes.
I know it's not news that you like hearing, Otto, because you're very patriotic. but
No, so I was actually just distracted for a moment, so I didn't catch all of that. But yeah, it's not great for South African fans on this tour. I do enjoy the commentary though, so that's nice. 444 for 3, triple Nelson up for Australia as Kawaja just played that delivery down to, I think it was the third man region. So Head will face Rabada. He's on 51 or 50. Rabada round the wicket, second slip in, defended off leg stump into the onside, no run. Start of the 127th over.
They just showed an interesting stat there, Otto, on Travis Head of his last 5 matches actually, and how he's been able to score a 50 in all of those matches. But a much more interesting stat is that in two of those matches he batted twice, meaning that in 3 of those matches South Australia won by an inning.
Yep. Head gets this one on leg stump and plays this out to mid-wicket for no run, straight to the fielder. I was actually thinking about that this morning. How many times have Australia had to bat twice, and it was only at the Gabba, right? And that was just like how many runs did they need to get there?
They needed 45.
They needed 45 runs to win. Yeah, so that was almost an innings defeat. Rabada short on middle stump, and Head just ramps this nicely down to third man where it's picked up. They should get at least 2 here, and they do. So the score now 446 for 3. Travis Head on 53 or 53. 2 balls to go in the over. 3 runs off it so far. So there's a cover sweeper, deep extra cover. There's a wideish long on, deep mid-wicket kind of fielder, Cal corner. Rabada into Travis Head, who wakes this one straight past that fielder at Cal corner into the boundary ropes. Kaya Zondo running and diving to his right, couldn't cut that off. 4 runs, Travis Head, what a shot.
That is complete madness, Otto. Complete madness. He didn't even time that shot as it hits the toe end of the bat. It allowed him to play it in front of square, and so much power. Zondo is standing at deep square leg. It's not too far for him to travel and slide to stop that ball, but even that was too much.
Rabada into Travis Head, who cuts this one off the back foot, and it's another boundary into the point boundary this time. End of the 127th over. That means there were 11 runs off that over. Head is on 61 or 55. The partnership 98. And this is just piling on the pain. 454 for 3 is the score now. Rabada has conceded 112 runs off 26 overs at 4.3 and over. And now it is 64 without loss off the last 10 overs. There are 18 overs remaining today. So will they give Kawaja a chance to get to the double 100 before they declare? And he needs to get that. How many overs do you think they would like to bowl at us this afternoon? 10? 8?
Look, if they have 10 to 12 overs, they'll be more than happy. Give your 2 opening bowlers proper spells. It's getting darker, it's getting gloomy, so it's going to be a tough one for the South Africans. So 10 to 12 overs should be enough, and 6 overs should be fine for the Travis Head and Kawaja to reach their milestones.
It's a back foot cover drive by Kawaja straight to point, no run. Yes, Kawaja needs 12 runs to get to his double 100. So the only thing South Africa can do, I think, now is just to try and make that take as long as possible. And backward square leg picks up this one, dabbed by Kawaja. And there's a single taken, 455 for 3. Kawaja is on 189 of 361. The partnership 99 of 110 balls.
Simon Holmes trying to get
Travis
as
Head.
much spin as possible. You see him pop inside sometimes, go out.
Travis Head steps back outside his leg stump and smacks this ball down to mid-off. They take a single, and he's on to 62. 4-5-6 for 3 are Australia in the 128th over. 3 balls to go. Khawaja facing on 189. Homer right arm round the wicket on a leg stump. Just did Khawaja get some bat on that? It's running down to the boundary. And it looks like Kaya Zondo is going to pick that up. It was slow enough past the bat to give South Africa a chance to cut that off. Yep, those were runs to Usman Khawaja. 3 of them. He's on 192 of 362. 459 for 3 is the score. 2 balls to go in the 128th.
Simon Harmer has also now conceded 100 runs, joining Keshav Maharaj and Kagiso Rabada.
That's right. He goes now to Travis Head, who dances down the wicket and drives this one straight into the stands, into the side screen. What a shot. Travis Head, take a bow. Goodness gracious.
This is crazy stuff, Otto. This is
Travis Head might get to his 100 before Khawaja gets to his 200.
Oh, wow. What a splendid shot.
Yeah.
Dancing down, makes that shot into a half volley. Whew. Here we go.
Vanner. Good to hear from you, Vanner Erasmus. Come and join us on air, man. He says the Proteas have 1 foot firmly planted on the plane home already. I just hope to see Klaasen putting up a good performance with the bat. Yes, that is the question now that will be in the minds of every top order batsman in that South African side. We need to match this performance by Australia, otherwise people are going to really start chopping and changing the team. So that's 6. The ball has been recovered. It's back into Harmer's hands. It looks like he's going to go right arm over the wicket now to the left-handed Travis Head, excuse me, the one slip in. Outside leg stump swept high into the air, and there's nobody to catch that at square leg on the boundary. Backward square leg on the boundary. They go through for at least 2, I think. Yes, indeed, that's what they do. So 8, 11, 12, 13 runs off that Harmer over. Let's just confirm that that was the case. And now 73 runs off the last 10 overs. Right, so 128 overs gone. Khawaja facing on 192 of 362. And it will be Rabada to continue. 467 for 3.
So hard. I think I've been saying it's so difficult for the Proteas for so long over the course of this series. I'm over that statement. But I actually wanted to know if anyone is listening, especially if Vern is listening, about Klaasen performing. Could he not perform the same role that Travis Head is performing here, because he actually is the most destructive of the South African batters, if we may say, if people are listening.
That all depends on what the scoreboard looks like when he gets to the wicket. Khawaja defends this one outside off stump, no run.
It's not in that, but in the fact that if South Africa require patience and you need to apply yourself, it's the case with every batting inning. You need to apply yourself. But once you are in, can you take it on to the batters? Because we know Klaasen got his contract through T20 cricket and then made his way to the red ball. So why not use that destructive power?
Now it'll be interesting to see how they approach this batting as Khawaja defends this one off his leg stump down to fine leg. And that is 1 run taken. So we have Ken joining us. Almost. Let us know when you're ready, Ken. 70 or 58 is Travis Head's score. He's going to be facing the third ball of Rabada's 27th over, who comes round the wicket now to the left-hander, pulls the short ball, and is it going to go to hand in the deep? Yes, it's caught. It's caught at the cow corner boundary as Travis Head goes for 70 or 58, caught by the substitute, Rassie van der Dussen, on the boundary. We'll see a replay soon about exactly where that ball went, but Rassie van der Dussen just diving to his left to catch that ball. And that's the wicket that South Africa was so desperately wanting. Now that went almost straight to Rassie van der Dussen. He's standing at the square leg boundary, and he just had to take about 2 half steps to his left to set himself and catch that ball. Travis Head 70 or 59, 8 fours, a 6, a strike rate of 118.6.
You remember the plan?
Yes, the leg side plan. Yeah. Well done. Good morning, Mr. Borland.
Good morning, Otto and Pendulo.
Greetings, Ken.
Good morning, listeners.
Renshaw. Right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'll be on standby if I'm needed. Just let me know.
Otto, thank you. Otto leaving us with the wicket. How are you doing, Ken?
Very shell-shocked.
Shell-shocked. Tell us more, my brother. Tell us more.
Not that shocked. Not that shocked, to be honest. Just, I suppose very gutted. It's been another tough old day for the Proteas.
Very long. We've seen 100 from Steve Smith. We're seeing close to 200 from Khawaja. Rabada walks into Renshaw. It's short onto the legs. Just played it around the corner, down to that fine leg boundary, and it is a boundary on his very first ball. Here's Renshaw, continuing with that momentum Travis Head left off. 4 runs to start off here, Ken.
That's a great start for Renshaw, who, of course, is COVID positive at the moment, so he's actually sit apart from the rest of his team and is not allowed in the change room. And he's had such a long wait to come to the crease, and this is his comeback test after several years in the wilderness. So he could not have jumped with a nicer start.
Very shocked to see him coming. Was he not an opener back in the day?
It's been weird as he just ducked under the short one from Nevada, because Marcus Harris is an opener, and he's been in the squad for the first 2 tests and also for the test against the West Indies earlier without getting a game. And as you say, Renshaw is also a top 3 batsman, and yet he's in the team, and Harris is not.
Interesting stuff, taking a man who has COVID, but here he is, might be proving his worth. Last ball from Kagiso Rabada to Renshaw. Ooh, good one there, Ken. Bowling it just at that back of a length outside that off stump, missing the edge to end that over. It's 129 gone with the Australians on 472 for 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rabada just hasn't been able to put enough balls in that area. Really out of sorts today. 117 runs has been hit off his 27 overs. He's bowled a few no balls, which is always a sign of a bowler who's struggling with rhythm.
I'm shocked with the minimal. Well, would have nice to see Andrik Nokia come in. The new batter is in. The conditions have become gloomy. He is your most economic bowler and the most threatening as well. So he comes as a whole package. I'm a huge fan of Nokia, and it would have been so awesome to see him come in now, since Harmer is not really being as effective as he should have been. But here he is.
Yeah.
Just a miscommunication between Ken and I, but it's just a dot ball there from Simon Harmer. To start off, Usman Khawaja is on 193. Bowls this nice and full, minimal spin as he targets that leg stump. But again, fine leg has to work as a single has been transferred. Simon Harmer now has conceded 109 runs for his 30 overs, part of the Centurion club of Rabada and Keshav Maharaj. His biggest worry, though, you saw with how he almost considered the boundary in the previous over, is the fact that he's not getting that wicket. He looks puzzled as to where that wicket could come. And you and I sitting and watching, where could it possibly come?
I think Harmer's actually bowled quite well. He hasn't had much luck. He has at least beaten the bat a few times. He's still giving the ball a decent amount of flight to ask some questions.
So it's a question of just him not having that luck as he comes in for the ball number 4. Bowls it outside the off stump. They've brought in Kaya Zondo under the helmet as a silly point to just tighten the pressure on Matt Ranshaw since he's just faced 5 balls. And as you're saying, Simon Harmer has been bowling well, doing the things with the ball, so it might be more pressure to Ranshaw.
Yeah,
Two more
carry on.
2 more balls as it was, defending and on my point.
Yeah, just on the Nokia, Dino's captaincy has come under quite a bit of scrutiny in the series. And if I can criticise one thing, is that he tends to just almost have a set order of his bowlers. That doesn't necessarily always take into account how they're bowling on the day. So we've seen this already today, that Rabada, because he is the number 1 lead bowler, automatically gets picked first. But in this sort of situation, I mean, I agree. Northier is surely the guy to come back. He hasn't bowled for a while, and he's bowled really well today. Get him in against the new batsman. And we saw it with Maharaj being bowled before Harmer today, when Harmer has been bowling better than Maharaj.
It's like it's premeditated captaincy, if you may say, which is not what you want to do, especially with the team that's low in confidence and the whole environment is not. And the whole fan base is not believing in what the captain is trying to do with the team. Being a much more proactive captain is so much more satisfying. Ooh, and here's Rabada with one back of a length there, Ken. Just giving a little bit of a problem to Usman Khawaja, uncomfortable in his defense. No run, though.
We've seen it in the field settings as well, which is also the bowlers partly asking for the field they want, but they've been quite conservative right from the outset and haven't really put pressure on the batsmen.
Yes. I'm totally in agreement with you as Rabada bowls it just wide off that off stump. It's full on the length and Khawaja just places his bat as it runs down to that deep backward point. Exchange a single, he moves to 195 as the score moves to 474.
There's quite a drizzle drifting over the ground at the moment, and Usman Khawaja, you see him protecting his bat face, holding it against his body and having a chat to the umpire. South Africa, I think, wouldn't mind going off for rain at this point. Take some time out of the game.
It's not looking good. And with 14 overs remaining, that declaration seems to be impending if the umpires continue playing that game. So South Africa might really not have that break you think they want, because next moment they might have to come into bat. Rabada bowling it short, but dead on the pitch, doesn't lift, and it rolls through to Calverani with Ranshaw letting it go through. It's a dot ball halfway through the over. And Kawa just taking long to reach that 200.
Yeah, I guess he hasn't had that much strike lately. Travis Head going berserk with his quite sensational innings.
4th ball. It allows Matt Ranshaw to leave it. Just getting some movement into the left-hander. Not a lot, but slightly enough. I guess it's the wind helping the bowlers out. As you can see, it's a huge gust as we're watching there.
And we also see that Rabada's pace is way down. All four deliveries of this over less than 150 kilometers per hour. That might just be deliberate to not give the batsman the pace to work with on slow pitch.
It's an excellent strategy, and you can see the fielders around. He has that leg gully and the very short backward point as well because of that slowness in the pitch. Maybe the ball holding up, and then they play a loose shot, and it pops up to one of those guys. Especially with Matt Ranshaw, who still needs to get his eye into the game, having only faced 10 balls so far. Last ball though from Kagiso Rabada coming around the wickets, bowls it down the leg side as he sharpens that angle, but it's an easy play for Ranshaw. Plays it to the deep square leg to end the over with a simple single. 132 have been bowled here, listeners. The score's 475 for the loss of 4. Usman Khawaja is 5 runs away from getting that elusive 200, and man, has it been deserved. He's played exceptionally well.
Yeah, superb innings by Khawaja. A real example of classy opening batsmanship. Just the way he got himself in, he was very patient up front. Exceptionally good shot selection and execution. And when the loose delivery has come, he put it away really well. So it's been a marvellous inning by Khawaja.
Been brilliant. And again, the continuing with the spin bowlers, just trying to take a look at the ball because it is raining, so it's a little bit damp on the outfield. I think the umpires want to take a look at what's happening as they take a drinks break here, Ken.
Okay, well.
The game is working in its own pace here today.
Yeah, some of the timings have been a bit weird. But let's hope the rain doesn't get much stronger during the drinks break and forces them off the field. Just on the declaration, Pendulo, it certainly looks like Australia are thinking of a declaration. So that's just the way they've accelerated, the way Travis Head batted after tea. But I suppose there is another option. They've only got 470 on the board, which means that the follow-on mark would be 270, which sounds like an awfully large amount for the way the current batting has been going with approaches. But it is a pretty flat deck, so maybe there might also be an inkling of a thought of them to really pile on a score of around 600 or so, and then get South Africa into bat twice. When the pitch has really deteriorated properly. Because it's still a pretty good deck to bat on, but it is expected to break up and become more and more difficult days 4 and 5.
That one is very true, and I agree. And the biggest thing here is the fact that once South Africa goes into bats, regardless of what the score will be from now to whatever Australia are piling on, given the run in their previous innings and you going into bat as Dean Algar, the captain, you're already under such immense pressure from captaincy and from your batting. You have come in with Cyril Ervia, who's also under huge amounts of scrutiny. And you look at the score and you need to come to 475, say Australia declare right now. Them going to bat right now, needing to chase 475, is already a mindset mess up because the thought of having to score 400 and you've been struggling to score 200 against an attack which is as good as the South African attack. I mean, you have Cummins, you have Lyon on a turning pitch once it deteriorates. South Africa are not really in a position where they can say, I'm going to win this match. And even fighting for a draw is tough because what are the chances of them batting for 3 days straight, even if it's 2 innings?
Yeah, well, rain is expected to take some time out of the game, especially tomorrow. But, and the more runs Australia pile up, the more aggressive they can be with their field placement. And then around the bat. But as I say, even if that's fair now, it will still be a very tough task for a Proteas batting lineup that really is lacking form and confidence But this, at the moment, has to be the best surface for batting that they've had the whole series. So they've got to be positive. Australia are maybe a bowler light as well. And coming in with two seam bowlers, two proper seam bowlers. I'm not counting Mohamed Labuschagne as a seam bowler. So, there's an opportunity for the Proteas to actually restore some of their batting pride, for maybe one or two guys to get in, to get 100, to make a statement. And let's be honest, a lot of those guys desperately need a score behind their name.
And the thing is, you've seen that all different types of strategies work in this surface. Usman Khawaja has been conservative, very very conservative, planning his shots, choosing his deliveries to score at. And then you have Travis Head, who came in and just blasted everybody everywhere. So it shows that the pitch is very balanced in how you can score. It's all about the mindset that you are using coming into score, because there's no way that you have 4 batters in your opponent's team scoring 50 plus, dare I say 70 plus, and then you come in and you can't get a score of 50 or at least 100. Like you say, this is the best time for them to bat, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. As the players are actually going off the field now, as Pierce, the drink spray, has led to the cessation of play. It does look really miserable in Sydney today. Dark, low clouds sweeping across the field, and it looks like the kind of weather that could well be set in. So that's good news for South Africa, because it means that Australia will probably still bat a bit more. They'll want to reward Usman Khawaja with a double 100. He's just 5 runs short at the moment.
But after that 200, given how South Africa have been batting throughout the course of the whole season, the 2022-23 season, a declaration or Australia batting further after Usman Khawaja gets that 200 will seem like a redundant task. It will be as if they're doing something that they've already done. So might as well just declare, give South Africa 500 to chase down. And with 3 days of cricket remaining, trust that even though you're a bowler short, you have 2 very good spinners and 1 world-class, probably all-time spinner in Nathan Lyon, in a deteriorating pitch. Oh my God. Every single permutation I put out cross is just a stab on the heart to all South Africans here. So I'm stabbing myself now, Ken.
Hang in there, Mpula. Don't lose hope. The one thing is, though, that if Australia do bat for a bit of time tomorrow, it does mean that they cannot lose this game. There really would be no chance, because for South Africa just to get to 470 is probably going to take the better part of 2 days anyway. And then they'd have to get a bit of a lead. Yeah, so it's all the aces of the Australians at the moment.
Could it also be that the Australians are playing to play South Africa out of any possibilities of making that World Test Championship final? Because they need to win this match, it's obligatory, and then win the 2 matches that they have against the West Indies to even have a sniff in that final. Could it be that the Australians are just playing to make sure that they do not lose, which comes with the consequence of South Africa not making that final?
I don't think so, because Australia can actually seal their place in the final by winning this test. So that's a big incentive for them. And I don't think it's about South Africa for them, really. I mean, one could argue that they would probably rather play South Africa in the final, given how poor the Proteas batting has been, and obviously the mental battering they've taken on this tour. Because Australia could end up playing India in the World Test Championship final, which, let's face it, that's going to be a whole different kettle of fish. So, no, I don't think they're worried about the Proteas World Test Championship final situation. They just want to win this game. They pretty much already ensured they're not going to lose it.
Yeah. Oh, what a sad thing for the Proteas. But we here, it's a what you call it? It's a rain delay, and the conversations will eventually run off, or we will jump into conversations that we have in our quota podcast. So I think it would be a great idea even for us to take a break until the game comes back. Ken, thank you so much for thank you so much for listening. We'll be back once everything is back sorted. Just a rain delay. Hopefully Ken and I kept you entertained until then. Catch you on the flip side.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. Yes, that's our banner, right in your face, but that's our podcast name. Welcome to the Full Quota Podcast. This is South Africa's number one cricketing podcast. My name is Mpho Mkloni. I've got Tim Delace here. We're going to talk all things that are happening in South African cricket. This past week, we had a whole lot of things. But before we do anything else, we want to wish you a happy new year and all the best for 2023. We hope the Proteas can do something. But so Tim's here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. All good. Still slightly in the festive mood. Haven't quite got into the mood of going back to normal life, but otherwise all good.
Yeah, no, that's good. Speaking about New Year's resolutions, what's your one resolution for South African cricket in 2023?
To make 300 as a test team.
But we're gonna have like 4 tests. You do know that, or 5.
Yeah, but if they can make 300 once, then I'm happy.
Okay.
No, but seriously, a batsman at the top 5 that makes it his own. We've had guys the last 3 or 4 years said, I want to take number 3 my own, number 4 my own, number 5 my own, and to a large extent they've all failed. Every single one of them has failed to a large extent in that quest, from Tinnis to Brown to Russell van der Dussen. The list goes on. They're not terrible, but they haven't gone on. And Aidan Markram, they haven't nailed down that test position that they have been given.
Yeah, we don't have
runs.
that guy. We don't have that guy that can just, you know that he's going to score runs. There's no Root, there's no Williamson or Conway. There's no Virat Kohli if he can score runs, but there's no Marnus or Steve Smith. There's no Ben Stokes. There's no one in that side. It's just like everybody just pulling their weight with their small little averages, which is a good thing because they've done well to get to the point where they are 3rd best in the World Test Championship. Obviously, the Test rankings are something different, and so really, really good from them. But I think from my end, it's just hoping the SA20 brings in a new change in South African cricket, brings in the much needed, the resources that are obviously all obtained from this windfall go to the right places, and we create development pipelines, networks. I know that's everyone's thing, but I think from a Proteas perspective, it's to not be embarrassing in a World Cup again. I just don't want to be embarrassed again, and I hope with the T20 World Cup, or the Women's World Cup happening in March, that actually we can get to the final and see if we can't win that. So, I hope our Momentum Proteas ladies are hard at work. Obviously, got the Under-19 series happening now with India, the Under-19 World Cup starting in less than 10 days. And then you've got the Women's World Cup after that in the next month. So there's a lot of cricket that we're going to be talking about. And good luck to Oluhle Sio with her Under-19s going for the first ever Under-19 World Cup here in South Africa. Tim, so our podcast today is going to be two-parted. One's going to be a test preview. We're going to talk about that now. And then the other one's going to be the One-Day Cup recap finals. We had 2 games last week that were amazing games. And obviously see the Lions won. I wouldn't be wearing this if the Lions didn't win. And then we're going to talk about that. So if you want that part, go to the second half of the show. If you want the Proteas and figure out what's going on, come to the first part. And ideally we'd like you to watch the entire thing or listen to the thing. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We also have audio versions on Anchor Podcasts or at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find us there, listen to us, and share as widely as possible. This is the year this podcast grows. And if you want to subscribe, if you want to advertise the podcast, please send me a message, an email on pod1wsr.com, and I will happily, we can do live reads, we can talk about your project, we can do reviews. So that's the spiel for 2023. So Tim, let's get into it, right? Proteas third test preview. We haven't seen the pitch yet. I don't think you've seen the pitch, but obviously we're expecting Simon Harmer to come in to the side. Obviously everyone is expecting at the beginning of the season a series that he would come in here, and obviously one of the bowlers would step out, one of the quicks would step out. Australia, obviously, they've got their injury issues, and they're going to unleash. Is it Larry Norris or Lance Norris or something?
Lots. I think it's Lots. I think it's Lots.
Of Brett Lee. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. But obviously, the big story is around our batting. It hasn't done well this tour, and now you have a situation where Tennis de Bruyne's going home after having played one game for the birth of his daughter. How do you feel about that? When you heard those news about tennis, what did you think?
I'm not a man who's soon to be a father, so I'm probably going to be slightly hypocritical in this way.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder about this. He's going to be home in 8 or 9 days. He's going to be home in 8 or 9 days. He's not going to be home in 3 weeks, 6 months. He's going to be home in less than 2 weeks. He's going to be able to see his child within that period, inside 10 days. When you've given a chance to come back into the side, where arguably you probably shouldn't be, particularly on form, I do find it a little bit strange. I'm not going to lie. I do find it a little bit... Look, if that is more important to them, then fair dues. I'm not going to criticize.
Look,
that's fine. But
yeah.
the ramifications of that are, as if I'm a coach, I'm going, you know what? I'm going to go with somebody who is 100% committed to the setup. Yeah, so I can see both ways.
So I think it's not a commitment from Tiernus. Tiernus probably told him this before the tour. So I'm happy for him to go, because you want to see the birth of your child. You want to be there you want to be the first face they see when they come into this world. So I'm 100% happy. He has to go. Like, you wouldn't miss it for the world. The only issue I have is from a planning perspective, right? When they were looking at the tour going beforehand, when selectors were looking and writing down, I'm sure they had their prospective first 11 for the Gabba. Why didn't Tennis play in the Gabba? Why did we go to Rassie if Rassie's only going to play one game? I'm not bemoaning Tennis's thing. Tennis said he's available in these dates. They needed to make of it what they will. If they're going to play Tennis once, that's fine. If they're going to make him be 12th man for 2 games, then they've missed the opportunity because he's going home. So my question is, what purpose does it serve Tienes and the rest of the team if he's only going to play one game? I'm not saying that we need it, but I'm just saying that it's just another situation of poor planning and poor thing. Because to a certain extent, if he wanted to go, but he was only, and you knew he was only going to play one game or he's going to be a reserve batter, why would you consider taking him if he's going to be a reserve? I understand if he was a starter, I understand if he was a contracted player for CSA, 100%. Take him. But if he wasn't going to start at the Gabba, why are you taking him to Australia? And that's my thing. I understand maybe you need an injury replacement, and if he's available for the 2 tests, but what purpose does it serve him and the rest of the team if he's only going to come in for one game? Then he should have played at the Gabba. I understand if he played at the Gabba, played 2 games and he goes home. Now he's going to play one game and he might not play for the Proteas again. Is that fair? And it's not because he had the paternity leave. It's because he told them that he was going to, his wife's expecting, because medical science has moved on. We know when our children are coming now, in what time, what day, even the second. So he's told them this information. And so it's not new. They knew this. So then why did he only play one game? I would have just started with him at 3.
Yeah.
You know, and to a certain extent.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say. Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with everything you said. You said it far better than I did. And again, it centers around poor management of Tinnis, the player. Tinnis has been mishandled throughout his Test career. You could definitely make an argument that he's been mishandled throughout his Test career. And this is just another example where he's failed in one Test match, and you could say, with Keegan coming back, he may never play for South Africa again.
Yeah. And we had an issue. We knew we had an issue with Rassie before Australia. There wasn't, we arrived at the Gabba and we're like, oh yeah, he looks really bad. Okay, let's not play. Right? And then the other thing, the problem it creates in the back end, right, is that now he's gone. Right? We knew this. We knew he was leaving. Now he's gone. Who comes in? They should have planned for this, right? So you've got Rassie, who's an incumbent, who you've dropped on tour after one game. You've got Heino Klaassen, who's on tour as some sort of a reserve wicketkeeper. That's the way I'm reading it, because he should be batting. He should be there before tennis, right?
Yeah.
Even if it means we push the batting order up one, right? And then so my question is, okay, so then what was your plan? Because so this is how I think selection should go and how it should work, and maybe the viewers and if you're listening and you're watching, you can send me a comment and say this is not how it should work. So if I'm going on tour, I have 3 11s, right, based on different conditions. Maybe the same 11, but it's 3 11, especially for Australia, right, with the SCG. So I've got an 11 for the SCG that I think I want to play, right, and that has Simon Harmon in it and maybe one of Lungi out because Arnold Nokia is 150k. So that's the SCG 11, right? And you have your batters in there. And so my thing is that if tennis does not appear on 2 of those, he shouldn't be going on tour.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's how I would do it. So when you arrive in Australia, after the selection the panel has selected their 15, when you go as a convener of selectors or the selector on duty with the coach, you guys know that these are the 3 11s you most likely will play. And if there's an injury, this is the first guy who comes in, this is the second guy, this is what it is. So you guys at least know what the game plan is leaving South Africa. And should things change, they do change all the time, and that's fine. Which is why the whole Rassie getting dropped off the one test bothered me, because I was like, what were you guys thinking? Rassie's been like this the whole year. Nothing's changed. You know, so that's where I'm at with all of this. It just reeks of poor planning. And then so the question obviously is when they do the 3 things, they're like, oh, but he can't play in the 3rd test. So do you take him just for one game? And I'm sure tennis will be like, yeah, no, take me for one game. That's fine. He wants the opportunity, right? Yeah. But it doesn't serve the entire team because now you've dropped somebody. It's the worst place to be in because you've dropped Rassie. If Rassie comes back into the side, what is Rassie? Is he getting a spot back? Is he a replacement? Is it an injury replacement? What's his role if he comes back? Even with Heiner Klaassen, right? Are you giving him an opportunity or are you telling him he's an injury replacement? I'd rather sit with Heiner Klaassen and say, yeah, you come in, you're an injury replacement because either Keegan's in South Africa and obviously Tennis, who were given the opportunity, is unavailable, right? But with Rassie, what do you say? How does it look? What happens if he does score 100 or he does actually light it up at the SCG? Where do you sit from a messaging perspective? You know, and so we've seen that with JP Germany coming in back in 2008 and he scored 160 national. Prince never came back into the side fully again. But like that's where I'm sitting with this batting lineup. But Dean, they asked him about 7 batters. He's not budging. He's going 6'5". He says he's a 6'5" man. So that's what it is. But Tim, what changes would you make in place of Heiner Klaassen, not Heiner Klaassen, Tennis de Bruin going home? And anybody else?
If it's not Heiner Klaassen, then I don't know what they've been smoking over there.
Would you move Temba up the order to bat at 3?
No.
So
well, actually, yes. Well, actually, no, I probably would. No, I would. No, I lie. Timber would bat at 3. That's right. For this one test match. Yeah, that's what I would do. Klaassen has to come in. Klaassen's in form better. For me, he can play as a batsman. He's proven that. He can actually play as a batsman. He's not there as a backup. Then it becomes a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got your Sydney pitch. Everybody says it's going to turn. Everybody says it's going to favour spin. It's going to be the most favourable of spin for the series. I'm very tempted to drop Maharaj. Not entirely his fault, what's happened in this series. Not entirely. Okay. I think he's been very badly managed by Dean. I think Dean has no idea how to get the best out of him. Dean has decided for some reason, particularly the last test, that he is a hold-up man. He's not a wicket taker, he's a hold-up man. While the pace bowlers with the extra, which is wrong.
Hasn't that been every South African captain since the dawn of time? That's why we got Paul Harris.
Faf du Plessis used Maharaj correctly. Faf du Plessis used Maharaj as an attacking weapon. Faf du Plessis was the exception. Yes, I agree, but Faf du Plessis was the exception. He is the reason why, to a large extent, Maharaj is the #1 spinner in the country.
Yeah,
but I do think something's not right with Maharaj. Whoever's fault it is, he hasn't been bowling well at this tour. He hasn't been batting well. Hasn't been contributing. He usually contributes something with the bat, a 25 or a 30, which can be very, very useful in the context of games, and would have been in that first test match if he made a 30 or 35 at the first test. It's laughable now, but we could have won that test.
Yeah.
We could have won that test. But, so I'm tempted to drop Maharaj, but I probably won't. So I will pick Harmer for Lungi. Lungi just been a little bit short. Just been a little bit short.
I think a Keshav argument's similar to Lungi's argument, right? Everyone looks at the numbers and they're like, oh, they don't look good. And they don't, 100%. But it's a function of what Dean's done to them. And this is the issue I have with Dean. Dean thinks he needs 5 bowlers to take 20 wickets. He actually needs 4. And he actually uses 3.5. Because he uses Kagiso, Marco, and Anrich to take the large bulk of the wickets. And if we ever get to a day 4 or day 5, Keshav's going to come in. That's why it's a half. Because between Keshav and Lungi, they share the least amount of overs bowled. If you look at all those stats, Lungi's bowled the least amount. And it's funny because he opens the bowling with Lungi, and then after that, you'll never see him again. And in that opening spell that Lungi has, he's actually probably the most economical of them all. And so my issue is that, one,
I don't think Lungi should be opening the bowling in Australia. In South Africa, yes. In Australia, no. Because I'd rather have Anish Nokia at the front because of the 150. But that's me. The other thing is that he doesn't rotate his bowlers much. He relies on Anrich and KG a lot. He bowls them a lot. And then Marco comes in if one of them needs a break, and then he'll either throw Keshav or Lungi as holding bowlers. And that was the issue when Vernon retired, right? I didn't want Lungi to be considered in that Vernon role because he's not a Vernon bowler. Clinton Steelman is in that Vernon mold, but even then he isn't. Lungi's a wicket taker just like everybody else. But you don't give him that opportunity to be able to give you spells to grow into a day of cricket. He'll go through a session and he'll only bowl like 2 overs and you're like, what? So for me, that's my one issue with Dean's captaincy. But I'm with you there, and I agree with you wholeheartedly with the changes. The Maharaj thing is something that probably should have happened after the Gabba. If you want to drop Maharaj, you play Simon Harmer at Melbourne. But the issue with South Africa is not taking wickets. The issue with South Africa is being able to bat and bat well, because we haven't bowled the best, like we know we can bowl the quicks, everyone else, but it hasn't been. They haven't let the side down. Yes, Australia scored 570, but that's not the issue. The issue is that you couldn't even score 300. You couldn't even make a game of it. You couldn't give your fast bowlers a second crack at them, because in that second crack, like you saw at the Gabba, things can happen. And that's my issue. And that's why I would even go with 7-4. Just play Rassi in at 3, bring in Heinrich. They have 7 batters, and Dean, for the one time in your life, you'll be that second spin bowler, because you do left arm spin. I would drop Keshav and I would play Simon Harmer, and I would be like, this is how I'm winning, because the 4 bowlers I have can take wickets at any point in time, and they are very dangerous. And largely because, like you said, the way he's used Maharaj as a holding bowler, Maharaj comes out and you bring in Simon Harmer, and that should be my 11 tomorrow, with Harmer coming in for Lungi, and you go Marco, KG, Anna, and then you go Tennis. Not Tennis. Tennis is at home. Congratulations, Tennis. You go Rassi and Heinrich. And this is how it is. This is your final stand. You have to win this one. Win one game in Australia. That's what we said, Tim. Win one game. We didn't think it'd be SCG. We thought it'd be the Gabba. But now we're here. And this thing of I'm a 6'5" man. No, Dean. You are a whatever I can win a game with. And the fact that he's uncomfortable winning games with 4 bowlers tells me about the type of mentality that they have on the side. I want a positive mentality. The question you should be asking is, how do I win a game of cricket? And can I win in different ways? I kind of feel like we can only win in one way, and he's stuck in that mold. And so, yeah, I'd like to see Simon in this game, and I'd like to see Dean bowl. But another question on Dean before we go over and we close the chapter. Is this the last? Because everyone's asking for a revamp and a rechange and everything. Is this the last we've seen of Saro and Dean together, even individually? Because I think this is probably the last time we see Dean as a Test captain, as in Test once, and probably even Saro.
That's a big call. That is a big call. I think Dean lasts. I think Dean continues. I think his longevity gives him a bit more time. He may well not be captain. That may well be true. He may well not be captain. I think that would be a fair bet.
Okay.
Sarwell's on thin ice. There's no getting way around it. Sarwell's on thin ice. Sarwell is playing in Australia. The ball does bounce a bit more, which he clearly is not accustomed to, being a boy from Derbs. But the lack of movement, I really thought would be playing into his hands. I thought if he could get in, survive till lunch, I really thought he would score runs. Really thought he would score runs in Australia. So it's been a huge disappointment from my point of view. he may well not be the Dean's partner against the West Indies, like in a couple of months.
Who would be Dean's partner? What's your early bet to be Dean's partner at the West Indies at home? I've got mine, and I watched them play.
I know who everybody wants it to be.
Who?
I know. I get it, but I have the same problems. Tony.
No.
But I have got the same problems with him as I had beginning of the season. White ball, 100%.
Yes.
In the squad, 100%. And maybe potentially in the 11, the way the 50 over team's going at the moment. Test 11, no. I'm not thinking of that just yet. That's a difficult one. It is a difficult one.
It's between two for me. It's between two people for me. One is Tony. I can't ignore the 300. Cannot. And I know, obviously, and also the way he played in the Momentum One Day Cup, you're like, okay, he's on a patch of form. The question is, how long does that last? And does he have enough from a technique perspective to handle the rigors of Test cricket? I think he does. He may have his deficiencies, but I think mentally he's in a space where he can dominate at the top, and I want to batter like that. The other one is Joshua Richards. I know he's young. I know he's great, and people will say Jordan Hanman. I get, yes, I need one more season of Jordan Hanman. Joshua Richards has been doing this for 3 years, and on the bounciest and the fastest pitch in the country. Right? I don't know what happens on slow pitches, but to me, and also watching him in the One Day Cup final, I was like, okay, he's got it. This kid at least knows from a big time perspective that he's the one. So for me, I'd want to see Josh Richards come in, right left combination, great, beautiful. I think he's a free flower. The only issue is that he reminds me of Aiden Markram, a less talented version of Aiden Markram, and that scares me because I've seen what Aiden can do, and I've seen what he hasn't given us. So, and I don't want to bemoan that, but I do think Josh needs an opportunity, which is why I say I'll only see Aiden in 2024, and it's time to give other guys a chance. Josh is top of the list.
Yeah, look, those two are the informed players. Those two are young enough to be there for the next 5, 6, 7 years, definitely. Performance-wise, they deserve their chance. They're 100%. If I were picking one of those two, I would pick in Josh. Yeah. Josh is tighter for me. Josh is built for Test cricket. Tony is built for white ball cricket. That's why I'd go with
the England series, Tony should be in the side. Tony should be opening with Quinton. Because Janneman's had the worst year I've ever seen from a guy who's won an ODI Player of the Year a year before. So to me, it's Tony and Quinton opening the batting against England in that week between the SA20s taking a break. But anyway, that's enough about the approaches. All the best of the approaches. Guys, win the toss, bat first, put runs down. You want to be bowling on that fourth day pitch. You want to be batting on it. And please, can somebody put their hand? Like Dean's talked a big game, asking for people to put their hands up. Timber tried, didn't work out. Still not enough. It's not good enough. We need more. We need some, like, quite frankly, and I say this again, whoever scores 100 in this series gets to play Test cricket for the Proteas until 2025. That I can tell you. 100%. It's guaranteed. You become a contracted player.
Particularly with the fact that we're playing so few tests, that is a very good shot. That's a very good shot.
Yeah, and you might even get to play in the ODIs. So think about that. So if you're Kazondo, maybe. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to the CSA One Day Cup finals. We had two finals this weekend to close it out. The top two teams of Division 1 and Division 2 played against each other. Division 2, we had the AET Tuskers, KZN Inland Tuskers, who were number 1 on the log. And they played against the Six-Gun Girl Badgers. Garden Route Badgers, also known as Southwestern Districts. Really, really lovely game. Southwestern Districts put up 253 for 7. They really did really well to do that at away from home. Matthew Christensen's becoming a very interesting name that's popping up. He scored 46. Blade Kappel, who's been there from the day one, 38. Jedley van Bresis, 43. And you had contributions from Onkenyak, who scored 26 to 44. Sean Whitehead, 25. Peko Molizani, 38. And Keenan Vieira scored 17 of 12 at the back end of that innings. That kind of helped them get through. From a wickets perspective, Malcolm Norfall took 3 for 48 for KZN. England, Stefan Tate, 2 for 48. They seem to be a little bit ineffective at the top. Stefan Tate and Keith Dudgeon, but they came back in really nicely. And then you had KZN Inland trying to get themselves back in. They only could manage 242 in the reply. Yassine Vali scored 59. Tian Kukumu scored a 50. Michael Erland scored 38. Keith Dudgeon with a 23 of 22, but it wasn't enough. They just found themselves in a bit of a hole, just losing wickets at regular intervals. Bashir Walters 4 for 46. He was the player of the match in that game. He opened the game wide open. And I just kept on going. He got the wickets of Kumalo. He also got the wicket of Mohakane. And he also got the wickets of Tian Kukumu in the back end. So he got 2 wickets in the first 2 overs, and then it just was the end of it all. But Tim, I know we both watched that game, but what a surprise! What a very big surprise that the Garden Route Badgers made it through. They looked like a team that could compete for promotion, and I think they may have many regrets about that, but this win shows to me and everybody else that they still got it.
Yeah, look, they're a team. They're a team with no real big names. The only real big name, so to speak, would be the Waters. Waters is a seasoned Division 1 player. He's been around a long time, a Warrior stalwart. He was at Province last season, and it was really difficult for him last season because,
yes, it was,
as I've said many times before,
and he couldn't get a game because you had all those left-armers.
All Province bowlers were injured, so when he did play, there was a lot of pressure on him to perform when everybody else was out injured. But he's always given 100%, always. He's a 100% cricketer. He knows his game very well. And yes, okay, the game against Border wasn't a semi-final in terms of name, but it was an everything but name. His 3 wickets in that game, and his 10 not out, and his 4 wickets in the final. He is the reason to a massive extent. He's a huge say as to why they won the title. Massive presence. And that's what those Division 2 sides need. They need guys who have played in Division 1, who know the game, who know what to do, and they add value. They add incredible
and that's
experience.
To a certain extent what Northern Cape Heat have added to their squad. It just obviously didn't have a great tournament, but that's essentially what their squad looks like. It's guys who played franchise cricket, but now are playing there and are pretty much dominating there as well. Tim, let's look at the promotion relegation and what it looks like. So obviously with